Hi everybody, this is Cheryl and Angel.
Hi.
And this is the dress Angel is going to wear in the play that she's in. But unfortunately, it has a button missing. So we have her buttons right here. But we're going to show you how to sew on a button. Now the first thing you want to do when you have a garment that has a missing button is you want to lay it out so that it's laying exactly the way it would be if you was wearing it and it was buttoned up, okay? And then you want to mark where your button would go. Now you want to measure between, let me get that focused in, between the top of the buttonhole and the bottom of the buttonhole, and from side to side. And you want that center spot. You want to mark that real good. So that, see that spot right there, is where the center of your button would go. Now when you're putting your needle, show that whole button. When you put your needle through your fabric, you want to come up, let me focus in here, you want to come up right beside the dot, not on it. The center of your button goes on the dot, okay? Now, let's look at the buttons here. There's 3 basic buttons. Your first is your 2-hole button. The second is a 4-hole button. Okay. The third is a shank button. It has a shank on it. Now, we have a 4th button. This is an unusual button because of where the holes are. It's kind of a shank, but it's kind of not, okay? And that kind of a button is unusual, so you would want to go in, it would go through, and then come around, okay? Now we're going to clear this all away and show you how to actually sew a button on. Alright, we'll be right back. Okay, so here we are. Now when you're getting ready to sew your button on, you take your needle and you put it up through the bottom of your fabric, and then you put your button onto the needle, and you go back down into the other hole, like that. See that? Pull it all the way through, and then come back up into the first hole. See? And you just keep doing that. You do that maybe 3 or 4 times. You know, you don't need to do it too many times. Just do it a couple of times, Angel. And then I'm going to show you something that you can do with, it's not focusing real good. Sorry. Okay. Now, when you're sewing a button on, either a 2-hole or a 4-hole, more often with the 2-hole, you can actually make your own. That's alright, don't worry about it. You can actually make a shank button. Now, the way you do this, and you want shank buttons when you have real thick fabric. Shank buttons are used for jeans or pants or real thick, heavy fabrics. Now, what you do is you want to come up like you're going to go through that first hole, but don't go through the hole. Just go through the fabric and come on out. Pull your needle all the way out. Pull the thread all the way through. Now, what you want to do is you want to wrap the thread around. Do it maybe 2 or 3 times, okay? And then go back down through the fabric.
And it doesn't matter where?
In about the same spot. And then you just simply tie it off and knot it. Okay? And there's your button sewn on. And you really don't need to do it too awfully many times, 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times, however many you feel comfortable with. Now when you're sewing on a 4-hole button, there's, let me focus in on here. There's several ways you can do it. Now, you can go from hole to hole to hole to hole to hole, go around like that, and have one continuous thread. Or you can go from here to here, or from here to here, and do it just like you were doing a 2-hole button, just sew between these two, cut your thread, and then sew through these two, and then cut your thread. Or you can go from corner to corner and just sew them like you're doing a 2-hole button, cut your thread, and then sew it this way. When you have a 4-hole button like that, and you do it that way, if one thread breaks, you still have another thread to hold it on. Now for the shank button, you would come up through your fabric, and you want to hold this up sideways, and you would come up through your fabric and hold it sideways and go through the hole, come out the other side, go around and back into this hole. So you would actually be sewing like this around it. And the same would work with your specialty button. You go in and you come up like this. Okay, and that's all you need to do with those buttons. And you just knot your thread like you would if you were sewing anything, and just trim it close. And I want to show you our little pain in the hiney. This is Bremen. This is Chris's cat, who's staying with us for right now until Chris gets moved into his place. And he thinks he has to be the center of all attention. Yeah, especially when we're doing something.
He likes to play right on the work we're doing.
And he's tired. Hello, Bremen. Yes. Yes. Bremen is a found cat. He was dumped out on the highway of all places. Tiny little kitten, scared to death. And we rescued him, and Chris took him in. But Chris is in the process of moving, and so he's staying with us until Chris gets moved.
So much fur, you're shedding so much fur.
All right, well, we are going to get off of here. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. And if you have any problems with any buttons, just let us know, and we will do what we can to help you. All right, say bye, Bremen. Bye.